Okay, so this video I'm going to talk about the famous Joe X. Now, love him or hate him, you've got to admit that this dude is pretty hilarious. So, what I would compare Joe X to is almost like AK Operators Union used to be when they first started dragging AKs and doing stuff like that. Doing destructive testing on AK rifles. Um, so he's kind of like that, but for the knife world. It's what's considered abusive testing, destructive testing. Kind of going farther than the knife or whatever is supposed to perform, and pretty much just seeing what it will take. And some people get really emotional when something that they've bought gets reviewed and it does poorly. I kind of find what most people do is they buy something and then they watch a whole bunch of videos that kind of reinforce, their opinions or make them feel good about their purchase. And either that, or they want to buy something and they are looking for videos that have positive feedback. And sometimes people are also looking for videos that have problems with the product. That way they're not buying something that they don't like, or they're not going to be happy with, or it's going to suck or break or whatever. And all right, so when people start making claims about their products, about them being indestructible, made with super steels, and some of these products have very high price tags, and they have a big cult following. And sometimes these products have excellent manufacturing, and you really are getting that value with the money you spend. But some products are overhyped, and you're really paying for like a kind of like a myth, or you're paying for something that's not actually there. So I think it's good that Joe X is doing stuff like taking expensive knives and kind of seeing what they do. And and if they perform the same as a $70 Ontario knife works, then why are you spending $1,000 on a knife? Unless you just are a collector, you have the money, and like that's what you want to do. But it is good to see those type of comparisons. Now, what some people do with destructive testing videos like this, well, they get butthurt and they take it kind of personally. But that's part of being a grown man, is you don't get emotional and get all sensitive and upset because something doesn't go the way you want it to. So, but some people also, they're like, oh, I saw X, this knife broke, so therefore it sucks. Well, he's going to break pretty much every knife, so that's the whole point of the video, is to break the knife. And some people think this is stupid. Knives weren't designed to be used that way, or that's kind of exceeding, like the functional use of like a knife, and it's stupid, and that guy's an idiot, or whatever they're going to say. But here's my argument for why Joe X is doing a service for the knife community. So what Joe X is doing is almost like doing drop testing with magazines, like with loaded magazines. It will show cracks where the magazine might fail. That might not be a realistic test, but what it does, it's kind of an accelerated test. That abuse kind of creates the conditions of an accelerated hard use review, where it will expose things like stress fractures, places that could create a stress fracture, weak points in the design, whether a handle's too thin, the, the, uh, 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 the, And the other thing, so who else do you know? There's probably not many people besides Joe X that have the amount of time that he does with a knife in his hand, either chopping on a log, chopping a tree down, stabbing a car hood, stabbing the top of a roof of a car, um, prying on things. So, if anybody, I would think Joe X knows what a comfortable handle feels like. Um, what handles are ergonomic, what fits in his hand, what hurts his hand when being used, what might vibrate too much, what hurts when he stabs. You know, it, as far as ergonomics wise, I mean, I think that guy probably has a pretty valuable opinion considering how many different knives that he's worked with. And so you really got to see it for what it is. It's not something to get upset by, but it's a little data point. And just with AK Operators Union, it's hard to have when you have a small sample size of one. It's hard to get an accurate kind of picture. You really would need probably like 20 knives and do a test on all those 20, and then see what happens with all those 20. When you're dealing with a sample size of one, you could be dealing with an imperfection in the steel. A bad batch of steel, a bad batch of heat treat. So you really should have more than one, but who can afford to buy 20 Boosie knives or, whatever. I'm pretty sure he's buying these knives himself, so one knife is all you get. So that's about as scientific as you're gonna get with that. But I think the guy's doing a good job. I mean, he's entertaining. I kind of like him because it's kind of like a throwback to being in the military, where you could joke around and say things and everybody doesn't get upset and offended, and you just have fun and not get so upset about everything. But I do think that he is doing a service for the knife community. There are fanboys that simp for certain products. Oh, I bought this and I own this, so this is the best. But there's a ton of knives out there. So, you need to not just kind of sell your soul to one company because you bought something from them, but, like the company should be a good company. And, not every model is a good, accurate representation of an entire company, especially when you're dealing with multiple designers, multiple types of steel, multiple manufacturing facilities. But, it is what it is. So, when you're looking at these tests, just look at them as data points. If a knife broke a certain way and it's obvious that there was a problem with the design or something like that, then, hey, that's a good point. When you hear Joe say, hey, this knife hurts my hand here, or this handle is slippery while doing this, or like whatever he's saying, he probably has a very he's a subject matter expert on that because he's out there using the knives. And of course he's entertaining. He's jumping around in lakes and shooting blades in his like underground bunker tunnel, whatever he's got over there, probably getting lead poisoning from all the lead residue in there. But hey, the guy, he's doing his thing. I think he's doing a service for the knife community. Take it for what it is. Don't get upset. And I really do think is what abusive testing does. This is my main point. What abusive testing does is hard use knife testing like this. Abusive testing is kind of like an accelerated hard use life of that knife. So if you're doing a lot of heavy batoning or chopping and stuff like that on hardwood, you might develop stress fractures that could lead to a failure in the knife where it could break. He doesn't have 10 or 20 years to own the knife and baton with it once a week. So this abusive testing is kind of like will accelerate. It's like kind of fast forward through that 10 years, and he's got, like a couple hours to throw this knife through the gauntlet. Yes, some prying, some of the things the knife is not meant to do. But the goals of his videos is to break the knife, see where it breaks, see where it fails, and don't get so caught up emotionally in how the particular knife that you like performs. And it is also, I don't think, not a good idea, to use however the video went, however the knife went. Don't use that, I saw this knife break, so therefore it sucks. Well, it was supposed to break. That's the whole point. And you also can't compare a knife that's 3/8 inch thick and 4 inches wide to a knife that's 2 inches wide and has blade stock of 1/8 of an inch. So, you can't compare apples to oranges. But all this is data points. They're funny videos. Don't be so upset. And actually, I do want one of my knives to end up on his channel. There wasn't that many. It's the first production run, so I don't know if that's going to be possible. If anybody has one and wants to send him one, if he beats it and breaks it, I really want to hear his feedback. I want to hear, hey, is my handle comfortable? Hey, did my handle hurt while you were stabbing the car? Do you think it needs more texture? I might want to see where it broke. How strong is the tip? Should I, different things like that. And like being open-minded and receptive to things like that, all you can do is make a better product in the future. So I think it's valuable. Really, every company should be sending Joe X one of their knives for free. And but then you get into all this stuff. There's so many bad knife reviews out there, and so many people only do knife reviews if they can have a link or they make money off of it, or they're getting the knife for free, or they're getting paid to do the review, so you're not getting an honest review. But I understand. But and here's the other thing. This is the last thing that I'm going to kind of say is probably 80% of people, maybe a little less than that, are never going to use their knife the way it was intended to be used. They're going to buy it, put it in a box, put it in a go bag, put it in a safe, keep it in their car, and they're not going to actually use it. So they're not going to actually know what that knife is going to do. Much like people do with guns. They buy a gun, they'll shoot it like 100 rounds through it, maybe in the life of the gun, and that's it. Most people aren't going to put 5,000 rounds through a rifle, and gun companies know that. That's why they can underbuild things and get away with things. And that's why AK Operators Union was doing a service for the gun community, because they were exposing some of the bad metallurgy. They were exposing some of the bad designs, the bad parts, the shortcuts companies were taking. So I guess that's kind of another point. So most people aren't actually using their knives. So they want to watch reviews where somebody is using the knife, so that way they can get an idea of how it's going to perform. That way when they buy one, they feel like they got a good purchase. They know what the knife is capable of. They know it's not going to fail or break or chip or, if they're going to pay the money, they want the knife to perform. And then if the knife has a name behind it and a reputation behind it, that's what people are paying for. So if you're paying big money, the knife should, should perform better than a knife that's $50 that you bought off Amazon. I know there's when you start getting into collector values, that's a whole nother thing where you're paying for like names of designers and things like that. But as far as like a functional knife, it's kind of utilitarian. You want it to work how it's supposed to work. You pretty much want to get what you pay for, and people, especially these days, want to get a good value. So that's all I got. I've never met Joe X. He's replied to me on YouTube videos, which he's actually pretty good about replying. Seems like a good dude. He is a little rated R when he talks, and I can be that way too. But I don't want to be that way in public. But I was in the Marine Corps. I can I can speak speak foul with the best of them, but I try not to. But that's all I got. You guys have a good one. Be safe. Don't be so uptight. See things for what they are. it is what it is, guys. So I would go check out his channel, and I would subscribe. And if you have a knife that you think that he needs to, run through the ringer, you know, send him one or suggest him one. And I don't know. There's so many things going on in this world today. There's so many bigger problems. Just learn to laugh a little bit and enjoy some things. And that's it. All right. Be safe, and I'll see you later. Whoa, excuse me, sir. Where are the Tops knives? Tops. This company from Idaho. Hey, can you tell me where the Tops knives are? I need to shoot some. Tops Armageddon, my friends. Comes with this fancy lanyard and this awesome sheath with a fanboy whistle. All right, let's go, my friend. You're never gonna get your ex. Never. The bee flew inside the barrel. Check it out. The biggest European bee. Here we go.